Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Indek, and we're going to demonstrate chiropractic for horses. As you can see in this video, we're first starting at the withers, working my way down the spine, checking muscular activity along the thoracic and lumbar spine. If there is any subluxation or joints that are locked, irritating nerves, usually the muscles along the spine will have a twitch effect when I place my thumb along those muscles and glide down. And we always check both left and right side because we want to do a comparison. As I move over to her left side, I'm now checking sacroiliac joint motion, which is part of the pelvis. You need to square her up since she does move and shift around a lot, and we want the horse square as we're checking the sacroiliac joint. And then I'm going to move her back leg, square it again, check her one more time, and then move over to the opposite side and check for sacroiliac joint motion there as well. I noticed one leg is a little off balance, so we want to get her squared as possible. Sometimes it's impossible to get a horse totally square, but we get as close as possible. Now we're going up to her lower lumbar, and we're checking muscle integrity in the lower lumbar, and it seems as though there may be some muscle tightness going on in her left lumbar. So I am checking that muscle tightness, and I'm also doing a technique called hula, which is lateral movement, checking for spinal motion within the lumbar spine and lateral flexion, both left and right side. As you can see, we're doing the hula again on the right side. Horses tend to love getting adjusted. They kind of go into a trance-like state at some point. I'm now contacting the sacrotuberous ligament, which is a ligament that goes from the sacrum to the pelvis, usually found just to the inner part of the tail, where the tail and the anus meet. And I'm holding that ligament until I feel the muscles of the lower back start to relax. This is also an acupressure point, and if you hold that ligament at a specific direction at a specific moment in time, you can literally feel, as I am with my left hand here, the muscles slowly starting to relax. And we hold that for a period of time until I feel that muscle kind of melting into my left hand. Okay, we were on my way down. It's starting to loosen up, and I'm moving my finger down slightly as the muscle released. We did find some subluxation in her right sacroiliac joint, so I am going to adjust that joint as well. Chiropractic adjustments are low amplitude, high velocity adjustments, meaning that they're fast, but they're not deep, and therefore not painful whatsoever for the horse. Now we're checking for flexion in the pelvis where it meets the lower back. Now we're going to go up to the withers, and we're going to check for subluxation, again joints locking, irritating nerves within the withers. The withers go laterally, both left and right, so we're going to check for movement left and right on the withers, and again left and right side. Withers tend to be areas of subluxation, especially in jumpers, polo players, saddles that don't fit properly. A lot of stress goes into the withers in those situations and can absolutely cause subluxation. And going over to the opposite side, always checking both sides because it's relative to each other. There is a subluxation we found in her left wither, so we're going to contact a specific vertebrae within the wither unit. And again, we're going to deliver a chiropractic adjustment to that area.
Bye. See you later.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Now I'm checking the front legs. We check the fetlock. We check the knee. We check the shoulder, internal, external rotation. Chiropractic adjustments are not just the spine. We check all four extremities and all the joints relative to that, because obviously those four extremities are supporting the spine, and we want to make sure that they're biomechanically correct. And again, we check both left and right front legs. Horses, as many of you probably know, initiate their forward movement in the hind end. So literally, the front legs are going along for the ride. The horse literally pole vaults over their front legs, so those front legs take a huge amount of stress. Now we're going to check Atiza's knees. We're checking the specific carpal bones on the right front. And now we're going to go over to the left, and we're going to check the carpal bones on the left front. You can see she's trying to eat my shirt. Alright, now we're going to go back and we are going to pick up the hind leg, and we are doing a psoas hip flexor stretch. Those hip flexor stretches are extremely important in horses because they don't tend to stretch those muscles very often, and in some horses they are extremely tight and inhibit forward motion. When I go over to the right hind area, you will probably see me disappear behind the horse because of the low position I'm in when stretching her back leg. You can liken this to the stretches that people do when they're stretching their hip flexors or their quadricep and or thigh muscle. And we hold that for about 10 to 12 seconds. Next, we're going to check her upper cervicals and her TMJ. So right now we're checking C1 for lateral flexion, first vertebrae of the neck, and we're going to check C2 for lateral flexion. And now we're going to check C2 for posterior movement, or C2 for extension of the head. And we're also checking rotation of the upper cervical spine. Again, another method of checking the extension of the neck and the upper cervical area, putting the horse's head on my shoulder and then bringing it into extension. We're now going to check cervical motion, both left and right. First we want to square her up once again. And we're checking left lateral flexion, going from C3 all the way down to the 6th cervical vertebrae. Horses do have 7 cervical vertebrae, but the 7th cervical vertebrae is very deep within the muscles and behind the scapula or shoulder blade. Near impossible to feel movement in that area. So as low as we can get is usually C6. Now we're going to the other side once again, always checking both sides, comparing them left to right. Checking for some muscle activity to see if there's any tightness in the suboccipital, or the muscles that are just under the skull where the top of the neck meets the head. Horses oftentimes, like people, get tension in that area, especially dressage horses seem to get a lot of tension in that area. And Atiza here does do dressage. So we're checking and finding some areas of tight muscles, so holding some pressure points on those muscles to totally relax the neck. As you can see, she's quite enjoying this whole process. Next, we're checking the hyoid bone, a bone just under the neck, And lastly, we're getting up to the TMJ, or the jaw joint. So I'm sticking my finger in Atiza's mouth and feeling for her motion of chewing in the TMJ, or jaw joint, which is exactly where my right hand is positioned behind her eye and between her neck and eye. Now we're going to give her some jaw traction, loosening up the TMJ. Since horses do eat in a circular motion, there's a lot of tension created in the TMJ, which can in turn create tension in the upper cervical region. So we're relaxing her with giving her some TMJ traction, and horses really seem to love this a lot. And we're just about finished up now. So thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. Contact us. Our website is right here on the video.